Welcome back to the channel. We're smoking all my dragons, divine, righteous, almighty, great, overachieving, never slacking. If you in the UK, shout out to you. Shout out to you because you don't have to deal with the heat. Today's not too bad. It's a little more rainy, but it's been so hot and so much sweat has been pouring down my face within the last, I'll say 3, 4 days, that you could just start to feel them heat, like like bumps, and oh no, it's not cool. I wake up now and I started a new routine of just taking ice water and putting my face into it. So I'll be doing that every day for a little while. But with that being said, we got UK versus US playgrounds. And I want to say this, the Schaefer family adventure. Shout out to them. Original link will be in the
Guys,
description.
my name is Matthew.
Let me go ahead and press play. I'm going to start it from the top. And I'm pretty sure UK playgrounds are a lot more cooler than US playgrounds at this moment with our weather. But with that being said, here we go.
Hey guys, my name is Matthew, and today we're going to be talking about playground equipment in the UK versus the USA. Here we go. So I'm an American and I'm living in England, I'm traveling around the UK, and I'm doing that with my 3-year-old daughter whose name is Willow. Willow loves playgrounds. She loves the park, she loves playing outside. That's just like any other 3-year-old. She loves it. And so no matter where we go in the UK, we've had the opportunity to go to literally dozens of parks in the UK. So that way she can enjoy the time climbing on things, swinging in swings. She loves the whole experience. I do want to say for Willow, I don't think she would notice a difference between parks in the US and the UK. I think for people who are 3 years old, parks do what they're supposed to do. They're absolutely perfect for that, and no matter where you are, they tend to be about the same. Obviously, she may notice some differences, but they're not going to be, she wouldn't say the one park is objectively better than the other. She really likes parks just in general. For an adult who's visiting parks with your 3-year-old though, I think you could notice lots of differences between parks in the US versus the UK. And depending on what kind of parent you are, you actually may like one country's parks over the other. I'll explain more. There are lots of small differences between the general ideas of parks in the US versus the UK. For instance, the baby swings or the toddler swings have a different design. Nearly everywhere in the US, they're made out of this kind of flexible rubber. They kind of look like an upside down rounded bucket with the legs cut out. And they're a really simple design. In the UK, they use a similarly simple design, but it's different. It's the shape of kind
That is completely different. I've never seen a swing like that. Man, when I say it's like just two different realities, like parallel universes. I mean, between UK and US. I mean, I really mean that. It's just everything, everything feels the same, but at the same time, just like there's these certain differences that are just it blows me away. It's like people that say, um, for example, it's like how we say, we call football football, but then over there it's soccer, or it's just I can't, like, for example, guys would be like the streets, but in the UK they'll be like the roads. It's just these little tweaks.
of a crate or a box, and it swings in the same way. It's pretty much the same, but it's more rigid. So you have a flat bottom instead of something that conforms to your child's bottom. It doesn't make a difference. It does the same thing. What's really interesting about the playground equipment in the US versus the UK though, the actual big differences are in the risk level that's associated with parks in the UK. In the US over the last 20 to 50 years or so, they've taken the time to make the playgrounds safer. So, for instance, there was a park close to my house when I grew up that had a merry-go-round in it, and it was super dangerous. It was like made out of metal and it was super slick, and so you'd spin that thing around, and like once a week someone was falling off and hitting their head. The merry-go-round had to go, obviously, because it was a safety risk, and so they got rid of it. Similarly, in the daycare that I was at when I was a little kid, there was this really, really tall slide, and I actually fell off of it once when I was a kid from the very
And I heard, if you guys look at slides from like the 1960s and 70s, in America, I heard they were like really tall, really tall. A lot of people been through a lot of pain growing up in America. That's for sure.
top and knocked the wind out of myself. It was a really unfortunate experience. And they got rid of that slide too. In the US, there's been kind of this idea that safer playground equipment is better because safe kids equals better. That seems self-evident. That's why when I came to the UK, I was surprised to see a lot of the dangerous equipment that's been removed from the US alive and well here. Every park I go to has like 4 or 5 things that spin. Spinning things in general aren't that safe because kids let go when it gets too fast and then they fall off and they're dizzy and they slam into things and they get concussions, and that's just true. And tall things, obviously, those are inherently risky because the higher you get off the ground, the more likely you are to fall to the ground from that height. And so in the UK, I've also been surprised to see incredibly tall slides and incredibly, just things that are easy to fall off of and things that are just inherently riskier. This difference seems like you would automatically say, well, the US must be better then. If they've got safer equipment, it's better than the less safe equipment that the UK has. And in some ways that might be true. Like for instance, for Willow to play on, that may be true because for a 3-year-old, you'd want safer equipment, not dangerous equipment. But what happens in the UK, and I've noticed this a lot, and I've noticed it in myself even, is because the equipment is bigger and more dangerous, it's more likely to encourage an adult to play with their kids on the playground equipment. For instance, at the park that's closest to my house, we have this really great obstacle course that is way too advanced for Willow. She can't possibly do it on her own, which means
So that's a really nice park. That is a really nice park. I mean, I'd want to go to that park for sure and enjoy myself. Look how I mean, look at the obstacle course there. That's incredible. Uh, when I see stuff like this, I automatically just have gratitude. And anybody who lives next to something this magnificent, because to me it's magnificent. When I look at what's going on in the world, I study a lot of different things, and I speak about it a lot. Like when you see different wars or different places that people live, that is just kind of tragic. We got to be grateful for stuff like this. I mean, this is a lot of effort from the people that work in the community in order to make sure that the neighborhood is up to par. Like I said, I would have amazing or a lot of fun going there on a nice day. Obviously, as long as it's not hot like these heat waves, but for me, a nice autumn day, I would love to go and look at that. That's awesome. I feel like I was in that what's that show with the ninja something where they where they doing an obstacle course. I mean, that's incredible. It really is. When I was growing up, I remember my brother. My brother, he's a lot bigger than me. My older brother, I got on a seesaw, and I remember he jumped on it. And yeah, I was like, I think, well, like he was like, when someone's like standing up on it, and long story short, when he jumped off that thing, man, I remember biting my tongue and just, it was horrible. You got to be careful on those playgrounds. Got to be careful.
means she wants to do it, of course, which means I have to go do it with her. That's the only way she could possibly do it. And so there I am climbing on this obstacle course with Willow, enjoying it, having fun, and we're doing it together. Because it's riskier, because
That is fun, though. Riskier might not be so bad, guys.
there's no way she could do it without me. I think it's also better for older kids. As you're getting into the teenage years, I think in the UK, it's really easy to still go to a playground and enjoy playground equipment. Whereas in the US, that's harder to do. There's a bit of a stigma about older kids and adults using playground equipment. In the UK, I feel like there is less of that stigma. Like, it's more accepted and I think necessary to play on the playground equipment with your kids in the UK. Overall, I wouldn't say that one is objectively better than the other. I think they're very different, and I personally think that the UK one is better for me and for where our family's at right now. I really enjoy the fact that I get to enjoy the equipment with my daughter, that we get to spin on the spinny things and ride the tall slide together, and that the equipment
I think that's very important for an adult to be able to have fun too. Especially when they go to these playgrounds and they got to babysit, whether it's babysitting their own kids, their nieces, their nephews, their little cousins. They want to, or maybe their friends' kids. They want to have fun too. You don't want them to be bored. You want them to be involved. And I feel like just them being active also, it boosts that serotonin. It's healthy. It's healthy. They get what they say, movement is medicine, right? So anytime you got adults moving with the kids, I feel like that's just representation of a very happy environment. So I would have to say, not being biased, obviously, I'm American, but I would have to say I would probably go with the UK. From this specific video as far as their playgrounds, because that's how I grew up. I grew up on dangerous playgrounds. I grew up getting hurt. And not to say it like that's a cool thing, but I got hurt because I had people playing with me. My older brother, like I said, he jumped on it, and boom, bomb. But you learn your lesson that way. If kids never fall down sometimes, if kids never get hurt sometimes, or if they have no understanding that if they do too much, or if they don't have no understanding of danger, I feel like that's more dangerous to walk around this world and not understand. You want to know, okay, I could be hurt. Let me be careful. I grew up riding down hills. There's this park called the Northside Park, in this place called Little Italy in my hometown, and right on the top of the park, there's this hill that goes down. And I remember riding my bike, and I put my hands up, and I went over a bump. And long story short, I was tumbling all over the place, scraped up my arms. Yeah, I cried, but you get up, you dust it off, and you learn. So I grew up on just being outside doing a lot of wild stuff. So I don't feel like that's such a bad thing, especially if they have a responsible adult that's monitoring and watching over the playground and making sure that the children are being safe. I don't think that's too much of a bad thing.
Is big enough and heavy enough that it can support me, and risky enough that it needs to support me if Willow wants to do it. I really enjoy the playgrounds in the UK because they're riskier. There's also a really interesting article about this that I'll link in the description about how risk on playgrounds might actually be better for kids. Anyway, if you've enjoyed any of this content,
I feel like in that article it'll probably touch on what I'm saying as far as risk. They're developing. Kids are constantly developing, so they're constantly learning, and it is very important for them to learn what is risky and what's not risky. Because I learned through trial and error as a kid. We were building cabins. We go into parks. I mean, we were having all the fun in the world. But I with it being more risky like that, but at the same time being more fun for an adult, it also gets the adult active. So that's why I prefer that. I definitely prefer that more risky element. Especially it's like if you got one of these kids, when you go into things like gymnastics, for example, like those obstacle courses in gymnastics, those can be very. I was a gymnastics coach, so those can be very intimidating for a child. So I feel like if you starting them off on a more risky playground, uh, it definitely helps to build that confidence. So as they get older and they want to do things like gymnastics or maybe swimming or just something more challenging, uh, this definitely helps. You don't want to baby them too much. You don't want to baby them too much. And I think I honestly, yeah, I'm gonna go with the UK on this one. Like I said, without being biased, I'm from America. I love my hometown playgrounds, but I definitely did notice they have switched a lot of things around. I'm gonna have to go when I get back to my. If I should be in my hometown next week, maybe I'll do a vlog and really show like my favorite park, and just kind of and do a comparison. For sure, I think that's a smart idea. But with that being said, that was UK versus US playgrounds. And let me know, what do you guys think, right? What do you guys think about what I said about this video? I'll definitely be looking forward to the comments as usual. I may get to the comments sometimes late due to being busy, but I always get to them. And I always check them out, and I always respect you guys and respect your opinions, believe that. So with that being said, much love to you all.